I am back, and you are flying high with me, the Zigzag Man, over the zone, comfortably zoned radio network from Alameda, California. My name is Ralp Tyko, and we're at the 420 studio down by the Lagoon. And Alameda is right across the bay from San Francisco in the northern part of California in the United States of America, for all of you in internet land. And I'm kind of somber today. Things aren't going my way politically, and then again, maybe they are. My guest is Steven Carey Lassoff. He's been a guest on these airwaves before. He's a Renaissance man, a comedian, a writer.
Yes, that's true. I have no indoor plumbing, and I plan to die when I'm 40.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that might be a little late.
Yeah.
But
it's a plan.
I was hoping Pardon me?
It's a plan.
It's a plan, right? Do you have a plan B? That's the question. An alternate. What if? I'm delighted that you're back because we're going to talk about what's happening to liberalism, what's considered progressive, what's considered right-wing, what's considered a Democrat. And Stephen and I have been communicating a lot in the past few days on the Internet with whom I consider to be, in the past, like-minded folks. Liberal Democrats, they want change, they want progression, they're tired of the system. And it comes down to it where they are basically, for one reason or another, many of the liberal Democrats that I know have come to accept that, yes, we're going to pull the lever and hold our nose for Hillary because she's, quote, better than the alternative. And Bernie's done. Quote, he can't do this, he can't do that, he's not. I don't think he is. I think that he has an option of going independent. I think he was terribly horned by the Democratic National Committee. And Ms. Wasserman and the like wanted a Hillary Clinton, and who wouldn't if you were the Democratic Party of today? Your thoughts on that, Stephen?
Well, I don't agree with you about Bernie going independent because third parties never seem to work. The two leading third-party candidates in the 20th century both were shot while they were campaigning. That would be Teddy Roosevelt and George Wallace. Third parties are not accepted. And Teddy Roosevelt is such a reflection of today in that he was one of the first true progressives. After his term in office, he handpicked William Howard Taft to carry on his progressive agenda. Then he saw during Taft's administration that Taft was reaching out to big business and making compromises, and he didn't like it. So he ran against Taft in the primaries and lost, and then promptly started the Progressive Party, and which he also himself termed it the Bull Moose Party, and ran on a very progressive platform. And while he was giving a speech, he was shot and went on with the speech. But he lost, like Wallace lost, like Nader lost. Now, whether those runnings caused the other side to win or not, that's something that is discussed and debatable. I kind of think that Nader caused us to get Bush. So I'm not looking forward to a third-party run. I don't think that would be constructive. It'd be much more constructive to start organizing now on a local level for progressive tickets, and then next time around, you'll have so many true progressives in office, it would be harder. You'd have less Debbie Wasserman and Schultz and other people like that who are pulling for the party's nominee before the people's nominee. I put it that I will vote for Hillary with the enthusiasms I get a colonoscopy, and for very much the same reason, and I'll be left with very much the same feeling.
It seems like such a concession to it all, and you give them 8 more years to establish.
No, not necessarily 8. Not necessarily 8. And the thing to do is what we're doing, which is it doesn't mean to shut up about Hillary. Now, it's a fine line between pointing out all the faults and criticisms of Hillary Clinton and then not also helping Trump. But to go into it silent and without blinders, if as progressives we allow ourselves to just fall in line behind the Democratic establishment who is mocking us, then we'll forever be marginalized. Progressives will never be taken seriously and will be beholden to the party that will be permanently slanted to the right. And we feel, and there's good reason to feel, that Hillary Clinton is a centrist, non-progressive, pro-big business candidate. And I expect not much to happen in the way of social needs, except a lot of lip service. I expect this to be...
Well, we can count on Roe v. Wade not being messed with. From that side, I like it. I like a lot of things about her, and there are a lot of things about Bernie that I don't agree with 100%. The gun thing, I think, especially in light of what's happening in Orlando as we speak.
Well, the only thing I heard on Bernie with the gun thing is he's saying, don't punish the gun shop, punish the gun maker. And he never said not to punish the gun maker.
Over the years, he took money from the NRA, and I understand Vermont is...
But he still had a D- rating from the NRA.
I know he said that 3 or 4 different times in that speech in New York that I think he missed the boat on that speech. I think he appeared to be soft on Zionism and making Hillary strong on Zionism when she gave her impassioned speech for the Jews and this, that, and the other thing, which she's flip-flopped on that in every speech she makes, so that a true right-winger would call her soft on Zionism. He had the opportunity to use her record there, and I don't think he could ever really explain the gun thing and taking money, in essence, support from the NRA.
I think they all have questionable stances on Israel. Trump has said he wants to negotiate with the Palestinians. Bernie is open-minded liberal, had many Muslim people working for him in his platform, and also called for a measured stance against Israel. And during her tenure in the State Department and the Obama administration was probably the coldest the U.S. has ever been towards Israel. So I don't think any of them make Zionist points, at least not with hardcore conservative Jewish leaders. So they all kind of negate each other in the wash there. And that isn't really, to tell the truth, that isn't a super big issue for the American people in this election. It's always an issue, but, people are looking more at economics, relieving economic inequalities, and creating jobs and helping our infrastructure, and just basically not having the little guy or the 99% take it in the shorts, which is what's been happening for the past 10, 15, 20 years, and what this whole election rebellion support of the outsider is about. Is everybody
It isn't about the individual candidates. It's about breaking down a system that isn't working. And fact is that Bernie is pointing these things out, and oftentimes it's a question of killing the messenger. I think he suffers for his progressive ways.
I think what it is that the Democratic Party looked at it this: you can't have two outsides running. That if Trump is going to be an outsider, we need to be the insider, because then all the insiders will want to vote for us. So, they didn't even look like whether Bernie was better or not, even though there's a lot of self-interest in the leaders of the Democratic Party that they wouldn't want a Bernie Sanders. But I think just political strategy is they're saying, okay, Trump's an outsider, we're an insider, we have experience, we have Washington on our side because we don't represent the threat that he does. So all we have to do is stay the course, let his mouth sink him, play up into people's fears of what a crazy nut job he is, and we'll win that way. And they didn't need a Bernie Sanders, who was also on the extreme, who also had extreme ideas that Trump could play off of. So I think their choice of Hillary isn't so much a dark conspiracy of the right wing of the Democratic Party or whatever, as much as political strategy of going, look, it's going to be easy to beat this guy, but we can't do anything too crazy. Hillary has been readying herself for this. She's anointed herself for this. She's all set for this. She was almost promised it after the last election. So let's just plug her into the slot, and that's who we're going to back. And Bernie, they didn't expect the grassroots groundswell that he brought, but they did their best to thwart it at every turn because they want the easy road, and the easy road for the Democratic Party is Hillary.
It is right now, but I don't think I think you may be misjudging the groundswell as it is with the dissatisfied Democrats, progressive Democrats, dissatisfied with a system that is basically controlled by big money. Hillary has a war going on all the time, and she made a deal with Monsanto. Of the three candidates, she's the one with a vested interest for furthering Christianity in these countries that we send missionaries to. She's got buco bucks tied up in foundations for Christianity. Say what you want about Trump, he isn't blurring the line between church and state, which makes Hillary guilty of that because her decisions are made based on her religious beliefs and how she doesn't really think being a Muslim is okay, like most Christians don't, and they're willing to shed blood over it.
But she's got a lot of Muslims in her party structure. The Weeder's wife is like her right-hand woman, and she's Arab Muslim. I don't see Hillary as religious at all, unless you worship money, because that's her primary.
Oh well, then I do, and there's a mother. You can just Google it, everybody out there, you, Stephen, and everybody. It's a Mother Jones article about Hillary. Just put in Hillary Mother Jones, and it'll come up right away. And
a little bit more than just Hillary Mother Jones. Like religion, Hillary Mother Jones religion, maybe. Is
Hillary. That's all you have to do. Hillary Mother Jones religion, and it'll come up right there. And she's got buco bucks tied up, and that's always been the case. The blurring of state. What do you think it's about? It's about oil, natural resources of any kind, and religion. You always have missionaries going.
I just don't see her going to church and listening to any high septic.
No, I don't see her going to church. I see her going to the bank. Church is a big
right. So it's all money. I mean, the church thing is trappings for the goons. So that's not the issue. The issue is taking money from anybody, bowing down to power, and thinking that high money power is the way that things are going to be done. See, unfortunately, progressive Democrats and the progressive left is too small a number to get anybody elected. It's a portion of the Democratic Party, and you still have Republicans and independents that you'd have to sway over. And no third party, no groundswell is going to...
give me the independents who weren't able to express themselves in Democratic primaries from hither to yon. And
well, I don't know how big that number is. I don't think that number is going to be big enough to outdo, unless there's just such a raging dissatisfaction of Trump. And even then, that's a scary
there's
bet
a
to
raging
take.
dissatisfaction of Trump, but there's also a raging dissatisfaction with the system per se. Not necessarily Trump more than Hillary, Hillary more than Trump. They are on some levels hated by both sides.
Right. Well, the system is not going to allow itself to be killed, so you have to do it another way. And like I said, that way is more grassroots.
For the man who's not indebted to the system, Bernie Trump, and he comes in there with the idea that you could educate the curious and feed the hungry if you tax the really wealthy folks. Wealth beyond compare, money set aside that their grandkids will never use. That's
right.
socially...
But getting one person to do that is not as effective as working at getting all the other House and Senate members in there to do that. Because even if Bernie got in, he'd still have to face the Senate and the House who don't agree with him. And it would be just like Obama, only worse.
But if he did get in, he'd bring a wave of progressive candidates on his coattail.
You assume that. You assume that. Why can't we bring that wave of progressive candidates without Bernie? Why can't we keep the same energy going and bring those candidates in without having to do one-person, third-party spoiler that gets a Republican in there? You could do the same thing without having a Bernie.
The only person that is not indebted to big business, so he could speak out. I think it's hypocritical for her to speak out about the public's needs, the 99%'ers needs, when things are the way they are. When she's got a war going and she's been accused of deliberately keeping the economy down.
Like you said,
you can make it
she is not the person. Trump is not the person and Hillary's not the person. So they're not going to speak for us. And the thing to do is not to find somebody else to fulfill that role, because we've already been shown that the system will not let us put a Bernie Sanders in. So you got to put in a lot of little Bernies. You got to do it on a local level. You got to involve local politics and start finding who the real progressives are and get those progressive candidates in. Get those progressive candidates into your local government and into your state government and then into your House and Senate seats. If you get enough Al Frankens in there and you get enough Alan Graysons in there, it's going to be easier to do the type of legislation that you want, and you don't need a Bernie to do it. You would just need a lot of Frankens and Graysons and Warrens. I guess the thing is only vote for people who have the N at the end of their name. I think that's the secret.
Right. Warren came out with something that really surprised me. Speaking of pro-Zionism, she was very pro-Zionist earlier on this week. I think she's taking the role of a vice president in I have to say, in what will be a hawkish administration. And what was this Obama administration, yes, it's better than whatever came before him. And yes, he was thwarted at every turn to try to do anything. Absolutely. But he drones a lot. He waterboards a lot. He wiretaps a lot.
He NSA eavesdrops surveillances a lot.
Right.
He goes against computer. He goes against computer security a lot. And freedom and information. He is a big business. He's Clinton. He's big business. He's Bill Clinton all over again. And she's going to be even more right of Bill.
Yes. It's a nightmare. I honestly thought, and I still hold out hope. I don't agree with you. Let me ask you, the polls show that if Hillary ran against Trump, she'd win by X amount. If Bernie ran against Trump, he'd win like 2 times X, 3 times X.
The polls this far away from the general election, and you have, we have 4 or 5 months of Trump losing votes through his mouth.
Right.
He continually does. He cannot He cannot control himself. And eventually people are going to go to that voting booth, and unless they're consumed with hate for their fears and liberals, they're going to realize this is not the person to give the reins of power to. And Hillary just has to sit there and try and be nicer, which is why the pro-Hillary people want us to shut up, because she doesn't have to do anything except not be Trump. And the more that we bring up these criticisms of what she's done and who she really is, they're afraid that, you're not getting, the people who are on the fence aren't going to go our way. But in reality, the only vote that's going to count here is Trump or not Trump. It's not even going to be pro-Hillary. I don't know, except for women who are so happy that a woman might be in the White House that it really trumps any other issue. The only people who are going to vote against Trump are people who are doing just that, voting against Trump, not for Hillary. We know what we're going to get with Hillary. We had it before,
Yeah, since it is public relations, and women have had the harder of the road to hoe between the two genders, I don't blame women for loving her just because of that, unless it's brought out what she really is. It isn't about having a woman; it's about having the right woman. That's just it.
I saw a quote that I am so sure that the United States will eventually put a woman in the White House that I'm willing to wait for the right woman.
Well,
other people are not like that. Other people have totally drunken the bathwater that this is the moment for women. And you know what this is? This is the Democratic Party again, taking the easy word out. They're just playing the Obama playbook from 2008. First black candidate, first black president, first woman president. They're just playing that whole thing over again. And to even protest it, to even bring it out, you're a sexist. You hate women. You're a misogynist. I'd much rather look for candidates for the issues that they
have
take.
previously respected on Facebook on a thread calling you and I pro-Trump because we would prefer Bernie. I don't understand.
And I've gotten
primary. Isn't this the decision-making process for both candidates, for both parties? Shouldn't we, even if we disagree with Hillary, without being accused of being a Trump supporter? Just
exactly.
Because
and also, it's away from Bernie because Bernie is sort of a moot thing right now. You may not say it, but I'm pretty sure he will not be the candidate.
Pretty sure.
So maybe he'll be a force in the Democratic Party, and that's why he's staying in there because he wants to do that. But the thing now, it's about being a progressive and what a progressive means. And what that truly means. And progressive is even a little bit more strength to it than liberal. Liberal's kind of wishy-washy. Liberal is something you do at home over the dinner table, but progressive takes certain stands and is pretty uncompromising with them. And, it's like this. I'm not a progressive because I voted for Bernie. I voted for Bernie because I'm a progressive. And if Bernie disappears, I'm still a progressive. And that's what I'm looking for in my candidates. And neither of them now have that. Neither of them now. There is, the only thing Hillary does is give progressive ideals lip service. And if, you try and pin her on something, she goes, oh, I've been fighting for that for a long time and I will continue to fight for that without getting any specifics, without making any promises. And
she says she agrees with Bernie on 93% of the issues.
No, that number is they voted the same in the Senate 93% of the time. But there's a vast difference between these two candidates on income inequality and what to do about it, on college tuition and what to do about it, on infrastructure, on the stock market, on everything. There is a vast difference. They are not similar. That's a Hillary line to get progressives in there. In fact, floating Warren as a VP is a bunch of bullshit. And that, again, is just trying to placate Bernie voters, trying to get them on their side. Let's play with the suggestion and then they'll get all excited or placated, and then we'll move on to do what we want to do anyway. And that's really been the past 2 or 3 weeks. What we've been feeling is there is no real reaching out. I heard the one speech like about 2 or 3 days ago. She sounded like she was reaching out, but she's never said anything concrete. And I'm going to do this as far as acting when I'm president that was anywhere along the lines of what Bernie Sanders wanted. And Bernie Sanders was pretty common sense in that, hey, look at the rest of the industrialized Western world and their healthcare system and their education system. Why can't we do that? And, of course, the Hillary people are, oh, we're too big, and it's a different system, and they're different people, and blah, blah, blah. And that's just bullshit. If we can't do that, we can't do anything. There's no reason that we can't be just like the rest of the industrial Western world.
And it would be nice to food and shelter. It would be nice in food and shelter. The veterans and the homeless and everybody else should have a house and a place to live. It's a blight on San Francisco, where I live, Northern California, to see the homeless. It's a blight all over the place. A blight on America. It's horrible. And minimum wage, for Christ's sake, her mindset is that it doesn't matter whether a working person that works 40 hours a week has enough money to live and raise a family.
And the thing that's objectionable is her tactics, in that she was going for 12, and when 15 came around, she was there to take the credit for 15. A pro-Bernie person on my a pro-Hillary person on my Facebook page had somebody talking to her and thanking her for bringing all these smokeless cookpots to the third world. And I wanted to look it up because I thought, well, I wonder who is making the money off of these cooking pots. And then the Washington Post had an article that program to bring those cooking pots didn't work. Most of them broke down. Only 20% of those ovens that they got for these households was workable. And there was a vast group of people and celebrities who were in it. But there was Hillary taking credit for it in her campaign PR for a program that more than her worked on that was only 20% effective. And to me, that epitomizes what Clinton is about, taking credit wherever she can, posing herself to look like a liberal, but at the same time, it's all about what deals are made, how much money is going to my foundation, keeping the status quo happy, which is the military and big business, keeping the stock market up, letting the NSA and everybody else do what they need to do, more drones, more Guantanamo. It's going to be 4 to 8 more years of Obama, but even sliding rightwards.
Okay, so where is the idea? Where do these previously liberal Democrats come off in criticizing the progressives? I don't understand.
Trump fear. It's all Trump fear.
Yeah.
It's all fear of Trump. And that's when I hear people say, oh, that Trump is put up by the Republicans. They're friends with Hillary, so he's just a big fake that's put up there to, destroy the Republican Party. It halfway sounds feasible. I don't think it is, but it halfway sounds feasible because Trump fear, like I said, there's going to be more people voting against Trump than there are voting for Hillary.
Unbelievable. The Republican Party comes this far that they couldn't come up with another candidate. Or do you suppose Romney or somebody will come in the last moment and say, hey...
No, whoever it is, he's going to be a spoiler, and he's going to be like the third party for Bernie ran. And it's just going to be a spoiler. It's not going to be effective. It's not going to be somebody who takes over.
That would be very interesting
to
have two people on the Republican side and Bernie and Hillary on the Democratic Party. Not even my idea for this. Kurt Weitzman mentioned this on a blog post or something the other day that I read along those lines. I think it'd be a great idea. Let the four of them fight it out. We need something that takes us away from the either or, the lesser of two evil thing that I've gone through my entire voting life.
I know, but see, it's more the same. It's more the same, and the thing that I worry about for people going at it is I have, from the beginning, been looking at this as a bad imitation of 1932 Weimar Germany. And the election leading up to Hitler being made chancellor, his party, he didn't win chancellor. His party just got a big majority because it was so fractionalized. There were like 4 or more parties running against each other. It wasn't a two-party system. It was the communists and the socialists and the social democrats. It was so fractionalized, it allowed the white extremists of Germany to gain more power because it was so fractionalized. And I've been looking at this election as, are they trying to do the same thing? Are they trying to make this imitation of that same thing so a white nationalist party can come up from behind and not take the election, but show enough of a power grab in votes that they have to be given a voice? And what's going here, let's get 4 people running together.
It's the same symptoms. He's preaching hatred for a particular group. In this case, he's got 2 or 3 particular groups. Anybody who's a minority, anybody's an outsider, and the economy.
Yeah, but see, I don't think they will gain the ascendancy with Trump, but the aftermath, they'll be sitting there going, man, we got close, we had a candidate, let's start our own thing. That there will be some sort of united right extremist party that makes itself like all the other right extremist parties that are going down in Europe. Try and make itself more presentable, put a tie on like David Duke did, and present itself. And that's this factualizing of the not the country, but the parties in the country might be a precursor to that. That's why I just you cannot support third parties. They don't work. They've never worked. No third party candidate has ever been elected. And like I say, when they get close, they're shot at.
I didn't realize that that Teddy Roosevelt had been. I didn't remember that he had been shot as well. So
yeah, it's very famous because he was supposed to be giving a speech and he was shot, I think, in the arm or the shoulder, and he went on and gave the 2-hour speech with the bullet in his arm, and then he got treated. But him, Wallace, there might even be another one that I'm just not thinking of because it's so. And that's the obvious. That's when they wouldn't stop. There's other people who are taken out a la dirty tricks. No, we're not a third-party country. We're not a multi-party country. We're a two-party country. So the thing to do is much like the evangelical right and the religious right did in this country, you do it on a local level. That's how they got their power. That's how they got their voice, even though they, too, have been neutered. You don't hear them as a political force in this election. They have no one to speak for them. It isn't Trump. So, it does,
well, he may be,
just like it doesn't work for us. But Cruz didn't win.
No,
he
but
tried
he
to capitalize on
bring
that.
Cruz in as a vice president, and there's even kind of
they hate each other.
The waters on that. And you know how he says, I may bring the lying Cruz in.
Look at all the talk about vice presidents now don't mean shit. And what's probably going to happen is I can see the Republicans bringing in a very conservative woman to offset Hillary. That's probably what's going to happen because that really negates that argument. And we will have a fairly well-established Washington male and not a left-leaning male. One that's even more conservative than Hillary, so it makes her look liberal. A Democrat, but one who's even more establishment than Hillary, so it makes her look like the liberal woman. I'm the outsider. I'm the one. Let's break the glass ceiling. This is the time. Rah, rah, rah. The time is now. Hope and change. Rah, rah, rah. Meanwhile, everything's going to stay the same. I don't see. I wrote earlier this week that I'm looking forward to watching all the supposedly liberal quotation mark fronts that we have bending over backwards, justifying all this centrist, pro-business, non-progressive legislation that's going to come to the line and saying, oh, no, this is good, while social needs get lip service and stagnate. And our infrastructure
isn't even talked about anymore. all
No,
that
it
stuff.
isn't.
That
That's
Bernie
why
really
they can't reach out to Bernie, because if they reach out to Bernie, they have to keep those issues in the fire, and they don't want to. So all we're getting is this smug sort of like, oh, your guys are sort of losers, and why are you spoilers? He lost. Why don't you just accept that he's lost and abandon everything? Like anybody who had a revolutionary spirit, like the civil rights pioneers and the people who are fighting for civil rights should quit after their first defeat. You tried, you lost, now give it up. That's not how it works. But,
Thank you,
we have to
Steven.
get concrete. Yeah, we have to get concrete. We have to fight locally. You have to elect locally. You have to look for progressive candidates and put some time into it.
Well, at least that gives me a little hope for the future, because I'm not feeling very hopeful right now. And I appreciate you putting it into perspective, and I do feel better.
Yeah, just look at it this way. You know what to expect with Hillary. You don't know what to expect with Trump. With Hillary, we're going to just get the same Obama crap over again. So, it's not like it's going to be, oh, my God, what's going to happen, and we're going to be living in fear. We're going to be living in depression, because we just know we're going to get more of the same without much change. But if people like you and me are vigilant and keep pointing out to everybody else just what a flawed Democrat she is, then perhaps her presidency won't be such a right-wing whitewash.
Pushing her to the left is all we can hope for at this point,
and never stop. Keep pushing.
And right, and never stop. And going for Congress next time, going for, keep putting on the pressure.
Going for Doncaster. Find out, who your progressive candidates are, and then see if you can get involved. See if you can canvass for them. See if you can help them out. See whatever you can do. But just make sure they reflect your ideals.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for coming back. I always enjoy your company. And
yes, you too. Keep up the good work.
We'll do it again soon, I hope.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you take care, Ralph.
Steven Carey Lassoff, everybody. I'm Ralp Tyko. I try to push on the doors of life, Mark Pull, a little bit, and this is an example of good discussion, and I hope we put it out there a little bit for you in a way that gives you an idea that, we progressives have been looked at as the bad guy lately, and just giving up is not the way to go. So keep on going. We'll catch you next time, Steven.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Keep up the good work.
Be well. Keep on keeping on, everybody. Adios.